I asked her team, hey, what does winning the next 6 days look like for you? And I had everybody comment in the group chat what that looked like. A lot of people said like sell a set per day. A lot of people said sell $1,000 per day. A lot of people said, you know, do 2 demos a day. And the point of asking that question was that I wanted to see where people's heads were at in terms of whether or not they immediately go towards focusing on the results or if they understand the power of focusing on the actions. And so I just gauged that baseline for her team. And then I asked, so what does it look like to win like just one day? So we just talked about 6 days. What about just one day? And just wanted to, again, to like understand where their heads were at. And then I moved into a quick little message on the importance of focusing on action first, results second, because it helps prolong your ability to stay focused, stay excited, stay positive. And at the same time, if you're focusing on your actions, you actually remove the limit for what's possible, because it is possible that if you're just focusing on the results, and let's say your goal is to have a grand day and you have 5 demos lined up, but your first 2 demos, you hit your goal. Well, if you're just focusing on your results, then it could make sense to cancel the last 3 demos, and then you limit yourself, because what's possible is that you could have gone through those last 3 demos and actually had a double grand day. You know, you just don't know. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so valuable to focus on actions first. And then I said, I want to show you something, how you can still consider your results, but you can use the results that you want to generate the actions that you need. And so I took, you know, a lot of people said I want to do $1,000 a day. And so I said, okay, well, if you do $1,000 a day over the next 6 days, that equals $6,000 in CPO. Now, if you take the national average order of, like, let's say 300, and you take 6,000 divided by 300, that means that in the next 6 days, you need to hand in 20 orders. And these are just 20 average orders, by the way. So think about, like, you know, your names list, it's 20 orders in the next 6 days. Now, obviously, we have a closing ratio for a reason. So you take this 20 order number and you divide it by the national closing ratio of 60%. That means that if you really want to focus on hitting $6,000 in CPO in the next 6 days, then you should be considering, how can I create 34 demos in my schedule? We've got 6 days to do it. So what does that mean? 34 divided by 6, that equals roughly 6 demos a day. Now, some of you might be looking at this and you're like, no way in hell, Shelby. I have another job. I have school. There's just no way that I can do it. And I say, okay, that's totally fine. Even if you go after $3,000, that's still going to be a really big next 6 days, not just for yourself, but for the team in general. And by the way, let me just say it's one thing. If you are brand new here and you go after $6,000 in the next 6 days, do you know how much that is in income? In case you don't, I'll let you know, it's $1,000 in income. And that's if you're brand new. Now, if you've already hit your first or second promotion, that number actually goes up because you're at a higher percentage. Now, again, if you want to just focus on 3,000, which is totally fine, totally appropriate, still a big, exciting number to hit. You'll be guaranteed to at least reach another promotion for the most part. So if you're focusing on 3,000 CPO for a brand new person, that's $400 in income, which is pretty exciting for, 6 days. So let's break that one down. So again, $3,000 in CPO divided by $300 average order. That is 10 orders handed in the next 6 days. That's pretty manageable, I would say. Now, let's also consider the closing ratio. So 10 divided by 0.6, that equals 16 demos. And then if you take that 16 demos and you divide it by 6 days, that equals roughly 3 demos a day. So you might look at this and say, okay, that's way more manageable based on my schedule. But do you see how we're focusing on the demos per day and not the results per day? Because when you focus on the demos per day, you realize that, it's action first, and you're releasing the limit of what's possible. Now, here's something really, really cool about Cutco in general. We know that these are the averages, but we also know that the more you focus on learning, on growing, on asking questions, that you can actually change these numbers around and make the job so much easier for you. So here's why. By the way, and I would say this to your team, Reese, here's why I really encourage coming to workshops, because let me show you what can happen here. All right, we're gonna pull this over here. All right, so let's say you still have this goal of $6,000, but you look at this this current plan, you're like, I can't do 6 demos a day, Shelly, but I want to go after $6,000. Like, what can I do? What is possible? Well, here's the beautiful thing. If you were to add one more knife to your average order, and by the way, we teach these kinds of things in workshops. We teach how to raise your average order, and it's not that much it's not that much of a different demo. It's really pretty simple how you do this. And by the way, Reese, if you have to get going, because I know we're like right at the 9 o'clock hour, we can catch up later. But
yeah, we might have to. But this is money. I knew it's like focus on the actions, and I didn't know the right way to break it down by.
So let me show you this last thing here. Okay, so you show them and you say, listen, if you add one more knife to your average order and you raise your average order to $380, that's not that big of a difference, right? And especially for a customer that's putting it on 3Pay, that extra $80 breaks down to like $20 a month. Like, it's really nothing. So watch this. If you increase your average order by one knife, then instead of handing in 20 orders, you only have to hand in 16 orders. Now, let's say you also decide, you know what, I want to increase my closing ratio by 10%. That's just one more person out of 10 saying yes. And you say, I'm going to increase my average order up to 70%. You take these 16 orders and you divide it by 0.7. Now, instead of doing 34 demos, you have to do 22 demos. So do you see how, as you intentionally seek out improvement in this position, your position actually gets easier, in the sense that you have to do less to create the same amount of results. Therefore, you have to do less to earn the same amount of money. So if you are somebody who is gunning after a 380 average order and a 70% closing ratio, you can still earn that $1,000, but you've now cut the amount of time that goes into that $1,000 earned by 12 hours. That's a significant amount. So those 22 demos over 6 days averages out to roughly 4 demos a day. That could be really manageable. So I do that, Reese, and then I would do that with a $3,000 CPO as well.
Love it. I want this.